I never thought a simple, "I'm sleepy" could feel like a knife to the heart. But that night it did. I had walked into our bedroom after a long day, hoping to bridge the distance that had grown between us over months, and she looked at me with tired eyes. "I'm sleepy," she said, her voice soft but dismissive. That should have been enough to let it go. Normally, I would have tried again, persuaded her with whispered words or gentle touches. But something inside me had snapped. I swallowed the lump in my throat and simply said, "Goodbye." It was a quiet word, calm, almost casual, but it carried with it a weight that shocked even me. I left the room and didn't return that night. 3 days later, the world I thought I knew crumbled in the most devastating way. I had been trying for months to rekindle the intimacy that once defined our marriage. In the beginning, it was effortless, late-night talks, spontaneous touches, the way our bodies and hearts seemed perfectly in sync. But lately, the spark had dimmed. Her dismissals, the excuses, the constant prioritizing of everything and everyone else over me, had worn me down. I had felt myself turning into someone I didn't recognize, pleading, desperate, constantly second-guessing my own worth. And yet, when I walked away that night, I wasn't entirely certain it was the right choice. It felt like a test I wasn't sure she would ever notice. I told myself I was reclaiming my dignity, that I was drawing a line for the first time in months. But deep down, I worried that the line I had drawn might be the edge of a cliff. The next morning, our house was quieter than usual. Too quiet. I tried to distract myself with work, phone calls, errands, anything to keep the echo of that goodbye from swallowing me whole. By the second day, my anxiety had grown unbearable. I kept imagining her with someone else, the thought hitting me in waves, nauseating and sharp. I had tried to trust her, truly tried, but every dismissal, every laugh at a joke I didn't hear, every night she told me she was too tired, it had chipped away at my faith. On the third day, I couldn't stay home any longer. I drove to her office under the pretense of needing to talk about something important. Though I knew that my heart was racing, and my hands were trembling with the fear of what I might discover. She was there, standing near the reception desk, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. At first, I tried to rationalize. Maybe he was a colleague, maybe they were just friends. But then I saw the way she looked at him. The softness in her eyes that she hadn't shown me in months. That familiar pang of jealousy twisted into something darker. Something I had hoped I would never feel toward her. I stepped forward, my voice cracking. "Who's that?" She looked startled, as if I had appeared out of nowhere. And in that pause, in that blink of hesitation, my heart sank. She turned to me, her expression unreadable, then forced a smile. "Oh, this is just Mark. He's helping me with some project." But the ease with which they laughed, the subtle touches he offered her, nothing professional about them, made my stomach churn. I had felt it before, a faint unease creeping at the edges of our life together, small inconsistencies, little excuses she would make. I had dismissed them, trying to cling to my own hope, to the love I had always believed was mutual. But now, the truth hit me like ice water. I didn't confront her then. I couldn't. I walked out of the office, forcing myself to breathe, forcing my legs not to run. The drive home was a blur. Memories flooded me, uninvited. Her head resting on my chest, the way she used to hold my hand while we watched old movies, the nights I had stayed awake to make her tea when she was sick, the whispers of promises we made to each other. All of it now felt like a cruel mockery. That night, I called one of my closest friends, unable to bear the silence of my own thoughts. I told him everything, leaving out no detail, and he said something that hit harder than I expected. "It's not just about him. It's about how she's made you feel. Like you don't matter." He was right. It wasn't the affair alone. It was the years of being ignored, the subtle erosion of intimacy, the slow drip of emotional neglect that had left me raw and exposed. I realized then that her betrayal wasn't just in the act of another man. It was in the years of denying me, of pushing me away, of choosing sleep over my presence, touch over my embrace, distance over love. The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't scream, I didn't plead, I didn't beg. I simply gathered what belonged to me and walked out. For once, I didn't look back. I had spent too long bending to fit into a life that no longer had room for me. She called later that day. Her voice was frantic, filled with fear, confusion, and something like remorse. Why are you leaving? Please don't go. I made a mistake. I took a deep breath, holding back tears that felt like molten fire behind my eyes. You made choices every single day. Choices that told me I wasn't enough. This isn't a mistake, it's a pattern. And I can't live like this anymore. She cried. I could hear it. A sound I had once found comforting, now hollow and unbearable. And in that moment, a part of me still loved her enough to hope she might realize the depth of what she had destroyed. But another part of me, the part that had carried months of rejection and subtle cruelty, had finally learned to protect itself. I spent the next few weeks in a haze of grief and quiet reflection. I allowed myself to mourn the marriage I had believed in, the love I had hoped would endure. I let myself remember the good without clinging to it, and I let myself feel the betrayal without letting it define me. Eventually, I began to see the light in the darkness. I started exercising, reconnecting with old friends, finding small joys in mornings and evenings. I realized that leaving wasn't an end, it was a beginning. It was a chance to rediscover who I was without someone else diminishing my worth, someone else deciding whether I deserved attention or love. And yet, the pain never fully disappeared. It lingered in quiet moments, in passing shadows, in the echo of a laugh that once belonged to both of us. But it became less sharp, less consuming. I learned that betrayal could shatter you, yes, but it could also teach you the value of self-respect, the strength of boundaries, and the quiet power of walking away when love becomes neglect. Months later, I heard through a mutual friend that she had moved on. She had a new life, new love, and perhaps for her, happiness. And for me, there was relief, tinged with sorrow. Because love had been lost, yes, but dignity had been regained. I no longer begged for affection, no longer waited for eyes to soften or hearts to remember. I had said goodbye, and in that final painful moment, I had reclaimed myself. Sometimes at night, I think of her, not with longing, but with a quiet acceptance. And I know now that the bravest thing I ever did wasn't walking out the door. It was walking in fully aware, ready to let go, ready to survive. Because love can hurt. Betrayal can sting. But self-respect? That is forever.